Hi, welcome to Jwlar Plays. Today we're playing THUGPro. I want to say a few words on this mod before approaching the title subject, so if you want to go straight to that, the time code will be on the screen now. As mentioned in last week's critique, THUGPro is a mod for Tony Hawk's Underground 2 that essentially gives the game almost every map from Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 1 through 4, as well as American Wasteland and Project 8. This is essentially the most complete Tony Hawk's package you can play, and it's entirely free. It uses THUG2's engine as it is the game that has the most diverse trick list in the series. The mod focuses mainly on the multiplayer aspect of the games, as that is where most of the challenges are. However, as the mod is now a few years old, the majority of people playing online are hardcore fans who have played this game religiously, meaning that most people's chances of winning is very low compared to these complete madmen. That doesn't stop the game from being very fun and competitive though. Outside of multiplayer, you can free play any map you desire. There aren't any original goals or things to do as with the original games, but it is still cool to be able to skate these classic levels with no time limit and with max stats. You can set your own challenges however, such as going for the high score or trying to find every gap in every level, which is what I personally like to do. There is also support for the full list of cheats from the original Pro Skater series, including moon gravity, allowing you to clip out the map and explore to your heart's content. Most important is that this mod will run basically on any computer after 2010. I'm playing here at 4K with over 60 FPS on a fairly low tier PC. You can find a link to download it in the description. Huge shout out to the mod creators as well, who give us all this content for free. It's a great little time waster, and for me, it scratches that Tony Hawk itch I get every 6 months or so. Well, it did, until Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 1+2 came out. Vicarious Visions has recently released their full remaster of the first Tony Hawk's games, to critical acclaim from reviewers and players. I have found it to be one of the most gratifying ways to play Tony Hawk since this mod. Having all the moves from the Pro Skater series in a crisp new engine, running at a silky smooth 60+ FPS with gorgeous next gen graphics, makes this one of the most definitive ways to play Tony Hawk's. And I have no doubt that they will remaster Pro Skaters 3 and 4. And boy, they should. But in this video, I want to talk about whether they should go the extra mile and remaster the Underground games. You see, the original Underground games were a big departure from the classic Pro Skater games, and not only in gameplay aspects. By introducing a story narrative into the game, Neversoft, the original developers of the series, sought to bring the game into a wider audience outside of just the core skateboarding fans, and they were very successful in doing just that. Both games are seen as a lot of fans' favourite in the series, especially the first one. The problem for Vicarious Visions is that remastering a story is notoriously much harder than what they have done so far. There isn't a narrative that has connected the millions of players previously that they have to worry about. People connected to these stories and cutscenes that are quite heavily products of their time, may I add. You need only look at the recent X3 remaster to see how change in story related things like cutscenes, if only subtly, can cause a massive backlash in a fanbase. Vicarious Visions have already shown that they have no problem in changing the look of a stage for it to either make more sense thematically, be more memorable to the player, or to play a little better. Most people have taken these changes very positively, as they aren't linked to many strong memories. There isn't a story or narrative change when they make school brighter and more colourful, it's just a very nice visual change. But the developers' aim to modernise for a new generation may not be so well received when it's applied to the Underground games. And honestly, that's my main fear with the team approaching the Underground games. Not that the story may be changed / modernised, but how the old school fans will react to that change. It isn't too hard to imagine how an X3 type reaction could potentially derail and kill an Underground remaster. With that negativity out of the way, let's be positive and excited for what an Underground 1+2 remaster could mean. It boils down to how far Vicarious Visions are willing to take it. Neversoft's original pitch was to have Grand Theft Auto, but with skateboards. If Vicarious Visions were to go in a direction as grand as that, then they would have free reign to abandon any of the old narratives. However, this wouldn't really be a remaster, but instead a reimagining, so let's pull it back a bit. What if instead it was a straight remaster in the vein of the most recent title? All the original maps, reimagined with beautiful next-gen visuals and that crisp engine. It could be amazing, but that's where the worries come once more. Should they add the off-board mechanics? These were mainly utilised for a few parkour type challenges to help the player traverse to a certain location that couldn't be skated to. Could they instead think of another way to reach these locations? Many people will agree that these offboard bits of the games, especially in Thug 2, just slowed the gameplay to a halt while you wrestled with the controls. Should they bring back the cars? This had nothing to do with skating, was both janky as hell and out of place. Now having GTA or similar style driving mechanics would make these much more enjoyable, but will their inclusion add to the gameplay? There was a reason they never returned. Should they add the kooky characters from Thug 2? Thug 2 was a big departure for the series into a cartoonish style. Will these mesh with Underground 1? Or will it need to be removed completely? Should tagging return? I could see this being removed for reasons of promoting vandalism. The gaming market isn't the same as it was in 2004, and publishers and the general public may not be as open to a game that promotes such activities. How about the pro skaters themselves? In Pro Skater 1+2, the pros are appropriately aged to fit the modern day versions. Does that mean that Thug 2 will include a modern day overweight BAM? And of course, some sections simply would have to be removed. I know a lot of people abhor modern day politics in video games, but I hope we can agree that having a go-kart riding aborigine hidden in a zoo enclosure probably won't go down well in the 2020s. And that leads to the original conundrum. If Vicarious Visions were to give the Underground games a Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 1+2 style makeover, making the gameplay the best, most fluent version of itself, then they will have to make changes, and this will annoy some people. If they removed cars, tagging, the crazy vehicles and the 2004 political humour, I'm sure a lot of fans will complain, which may kill the project before it even begins. I personally would have no issue with them making such changes, but I just think many will. What are your thoughts? Would you want a remaster? And how would you like it to be done? With the necessary changes to modernise the game? Or as close to the originals as possible? Let me know down in the comments below. I hope you enjoyed the video, and if you did then please leave it a like. Next week's review will be covering another classic PS2 game from the mid-2000s. See you there.
On November 1st, prepare yourself for the sequel to the best-selling Star Wars game of all time. Star Wars Battlefront 2, the game that lets you fight all the classic battles any way you want.